And we are live. I believe we are live. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Film Trooper Presents Film Marketing Fridays. This is the screen you're seeing, and I will stop it so you can see my big fat head. I am Scott McMahon. I'm a fellow film trooper, and at filmtrooper.com, I try to help filmmakers become entrepreneurs. More specifically, the uber independent filmmaker that doesn't have any connections whatsoever. You're just grabbing the gear you have, or your small group of friends, or your small crew that you have. You're making something. You're making a film. Hopefully, you're making a feature film, and then putting it online, like on something like Vimeo on Demand or VHX or Distrify, and you're selling it directly to an audience. And you're probably wondering, okay, I've done all that, but how do I get people to, come buy it? How do I get people to buy my stuff? How do I get people to come to my site? How do I get people to come to my crowdfunding campaign? And that all falls under the category of marketing, which is why we have these live hangout sessions called Film Marketing Fridays. And today is a special Friday because we're actually doing it live for our friends on the other side of the world in Australia, New Zealand, Korea, and so on. And today I have a special filmmaking guest, a friend of mine, Bojan Dubalic. And why don't you introduce yourself and the project you're working on, Bojan, sorry.
Oh, it's all good. Hey, how's it going, everyone? So, Bojan Dubalic here. I'm an actor filmmaker from Vancouver, Canada. Scott and I met, it's been a while, over a year.
Yeah.
Something like that. We met in Google Plus, one of the groups, and we just started chatting and, just hit it off. So, yeah, so right now I'm working on my second feature film, which is called Project Eugenics. It's a zombie flick, and we're done with the production of it. So right now we're in pre-production, getting all the nitty-gritty stuff happening. And yeah, so I got I think you see it right there. I got my Indiegogo campaign running right now. So we've got 16 days left, and this is primarily to raise money for it's music, and then sound effects and some visual effects and that kind of stuff. And it's going really well so far. We've got this was a very ambitious project that I undertook. It's my most ambitious film project to date. My last feature, which was a comedy, it was like a talking heads kind of movie, two roommates and stuff they go through. But with this one, I really challenged myself on pretty much all fronts. Cast-wise, this has over 13, 14 people. Lots of different locations, SWAT gear, all that kind of stuff, visual effects. So and I was able to do the entire production, shooting of the film for about $3,000. So
that's awesome. And we're talking about a feature film, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be about 80 minutes. Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's not it's not something like I don't want to build my career on making $3,000 movies, because I think by the fourth one I'll probably end up in a nut house, because it's a lot of work on my part. However, it's possible, and I think it's a great way to really get yourself out there, get your movies out there, without ending up in the poorhouse. And I think anybody who knows me, who follows me on YouTube and my newsletter, knows that I'm a black magic camera freak, and this whole thing was shot on the pocket camera, which is just, I could go on about that thing, and I have for hours. It's an incredible thing that really allows you to do these things for dirt cheap, essentially. So it's yeah, so that's where we are right now. And I'm very excited. I mean, we've got the trailer, which is on projecteugenics.com, a bunch of photos like you saw, and there's a video of me talking more about it. And it's really exciting. I mean, it's of course I'm a bit biased, but I think it looks really good, and I don't think it looks like a $3,000 movie, not at all. Again, because of the technology that just is available to us, which is amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So we have you had sent me some questions in I think really specifically geared towards your campaign right now. So you're like halfway through your campaign. So you're like, okay, so I've got some questions. So we can throw them up and let's see where we go, what rabbit hole we go down. So I'm going to just go ahead and go over the screen share again real quick, and everybody can see that. So let's go to your first question. You sent me, which was, what's the best way to contact blogs and media outlets to get possible promotion? And I understand this is because you're like, okay, I got my campaign. So how do I contact the media to help promote the word that I've got this campaign out there? So we'll take this as step by step as I can think of here. You have a result. You want a result out of this action, which is you need something. You want something, and what you want is you need more exposure and more bloggers and media to talk about your particular campaign. Am I correct in understanding that's what your result you want?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So let's. Okay. Whoops. I just suddenly went click happy here. Okay, so let's imagine you're at a party, right? So you're at a party, everybody's at a party. So how do people react at a party? And so you're at a party, and you want to get to know somebody. Well, first of all, do you know the person? That always helps because it cuts to the crap, and you already know the guy, or the girl, and you're at this party, and it's a mutual understanding that you're friends, or at least know enough about each other at a work party or something. Do you know someone who can make an introduction? So obviously, if you're at a party, you're hoping you know people. It's hard when you just go to an event and you don't know anybody. So how do you just strike up a cold conversation to get to know somebody? And then in calling all the single ladies, if it's completely cold approach, how do you approach somebody unannounced but still get what you want? So let's just think about this. We're at this party. One, you have to ask yourself, do I know any bloggers? Two, do I know someone who can make an introduction to a blogger or a press person? Or three, I don't know anybody, so how do I approach somebody unannounced but still get the result, which is I need something, I want something? Well, you must have something they want because it's a sort of human nature. And so let's break down that basic human nature. Let's go and look at what are the basic needs and wants of human beings. The human development model, this is created by a Chilean environmentalist and economist. So he broke down this human development model saying that all humans have this basic needs and wants, and they are subsistence, which is their health, which is protection. They don't, that's one of the main things is they want the protection to live. They want affection, love. They need to feel like not alone. Understanding. Every human person wants to be understood. Participation. Nobody wants, again, being alone and being lonely are two different things. And nobody wants to be lonely, which is why participation is so crucial. And then there's leisure, the freedom to have this time to unwind and explore at your leisure. That's something very important for human development in societies. And then creation. Those people even that are not, they don't think they're have any ounce of creativity. They still need some sort of outlet to create, whether it's cooking, baking, whether it's, banging on the guitar or whatever it might be, or anything like that to feel like they made something. Maybe they build a rocking chair or something. Identity. You know what? You're going through this whole world. Everybody just wants to feel like they're worth something, and there's value and worth. So identity kind of falls into that category. And then the freedom. Nobody wants to feel oppressed. So those are the basic needs and wants of humans. And why this is important is to understand where everybody comes from first. Like this is if these are the things people want, how can you help give them that stuff? So again, this stuff comes from Manfred Max Neff. He's a Chilean economist and environmentalist, and he created the human development model. And you can find it here at the link, obviously, at Wikipedia. But how does this apply to the bloggers and the press? So what's the first thing a blogger might want? Is money, right? So money, obviously for a lot of us uber independent filmmakers, we don't have money to pay advertisements or promotions or pay a blogger to review our product. You know, a lot of people that are doing like blogs on equipment or whatever. Somebody famous like Philip Bloom, you know, he used to start doing blogs about camera gear and all that kind of stuff, and then people start sending him, companies start sending him equipment to review, you know? So that's their form of commerce, like money or equipment. So if you have something like that, you know, can you offer to these bloggers? If you don't have money, what's the next thing? Well, what do bloggers want? They want more traffic. They need help getting more traffic to their site or their press or whatnot. They also need to feel like they're recognized. They want to be understood, and they want to be identified with somebody that has worth and value. Okay, and creativity on their part is maybe in a form of discovery, where they discover something that nobody else has and shares that on their platform. And that's a form of motivation. So it's breaking this down to go, okay, so if I know what they want, then how can I give them something? Oh, another thing I forgot. They also probably want time and leisure, meaning like they might be so busy as a blogger. Is there anything that you could offer them that will give them time back, that will give them that they can use on their leisure? So you know, time is a value commodity, and if there's any way you can help them gain more time back, it might be a lot worth more than money. Okay. Last Film Marketing Friday session, I had Chris Reed, digital marketer for Red Bull and filmmaker as well, and he talked about the unfair advantage. And everybody, in terms of the marketing edge, needs to understand what their unfair advantage is, and then double down and promote that. Another way of looking at it is we all have to take inventory of our own strengths. So we start with that, make a checklist of like, okay, what do I offer? You and Bojan, you can act in your films, you can direct your films, you can edit your films, all these things you can do. So you go, okay, and I'm also in Vancouver, and what other things can I do? There might be some secret talents we don't know about. So you got to take an inventory of what your strengths are if you don't have money. So then going back to what do bloggers want? Well, we can cross out money. We assume that you don't have money to pay for a promotion. Or advertisements and all that kind of stuff. But can you ask yourself, can you help drive more traffic to their websites? So those are the first types of questions you have to ask yourself. Can you provide understanding to this blogger? Can you boost their identity? You know, again, this is tapping into the deepest desires of all human beings, but then really niching it down to bloggers and press. And then can you make them feel creative in discovering something in your project? So as long as you understand what those questions are first, it'll help design your message in terms of approaching them. Again, we're at a party. We're like, you don't know this person, so you don't want to come up to a total stranger and start spamming them like, I got this film, promote it. Like, I don't even know who you are. So like, but if you can address these questions and these wants and needs, then you are filling in the void that they need from you. And again, yeah, can you do all the above and make it easy for them to get their time back so they have more leisure? So whatever process it is to help promote your product, if you can help them drive more traffic, if you understand them, if you identify with them or boost their identity, if you can make them feel creative, if all that kind of stuff, at the same time you can help them save time, then you have addressed all these needs and wants that they secretly desire, and they might not know that this is what they want, but what you're telling them, they're like, yeah, I definitely could use that. But what can you do right now? So we'll do part one. What you can do is when you send an email out or a tweet or a Facebook message or whatever it is that you need to do to contact a blogger, the one thing you can do probably right now, we'll start with like a letter, so like an email, like, hey, dear blogger, after reading your article, whatever article they had, or blog post, I applied what you had to say and totally agree with you on that subject. So right off the bat, you are acknowledging them for writing something, and then the fact that you applied it tells them like they had worth. They're not lonely. There's value to what they did. and then the fact that you agree with them means that they are being understood. So then you say, I've also promoted this article on other blogs and platforms. So now you've shown like value by saying, I liked what you had to say, that I've actually promoted it on, you know, these social media platforms or blogs, and just saying that you got a lot out of it. And just give them the kudos. Give them like the thing of like, hey, keep up the great work. Right here, you haven't done anything other than say, you're awesome, I agree with everything, whatever you wrote or you talked about. This is really cool. So what happens is they'll probably come back and say, well, thank you so much, you know, thank you so much, that's awesome. So then now you have a dialogue with this person. So you can go, okay, dear blogger, wow, thank you so much for responding back. It means a lot, right? Because they're like, oh. And it says, could I ask a question? In your other article, you mentioned this. And then you say, well, how should a filmmaker like me go about approaching this, or whatever the subject might be? So hopefully they have some kind of article that ties into promoting like your, you know, crowdfunding campaign. As you can see right here, you've broken the ice because you've complimented them, and you've addressed all these wants and needs that they have subconsciously. So now the blogger is like, oh, cool, you're writing back to me. And then by asking them a question, you're not pushing anything. You're pulling information from them, and you're inviting them to, you know, follow up on an answer to an article, another subject that they had. So now you're having a dialogue. Now you're at a party, and you are rolling now. You know, there's no cold thing. They don't even know that you're asking to promote anything. But you've already brought up like, hey, I've got this question about my own project. What do you recommend how I should approach this? So you're going to get advice. You know, you're going to get feedback. And then the third thing you follow up with is they'll give you whatever feedback they give you, and they might go off on a huge tangent because they're just so excited to have a conversation with somebody, you know, in the world of being an online blogger. It can be very lonely sometimes. And then you can come back and say, oh my gosh, great advice, thank you so much. And then you say, is there anything I can do to help you? And I can insert all your unfair advantages, insert all your things that you do well. Like I can edit, I can shoot, whatever. So what happens is you don't have money to pay for the promotion, but you do have value in terms of your skill set or whatever you chart out as your unfair advantage, or your stock in your inventory. But this, in 3 emails, you have created a relationship with a blogger. Hopefully they have, you know, a big audience that could help you by the fact that you're inserting like all the things that you're good at. They might go, wow, I never thought about that. I could use help here. But you got to be ready to deliver too, because if you don't have money, the only thing you can do is offer your own value, your own strengths, and then you can just see where the dialogue takes you. Because in this process of meeting with this blogger, you know, then you can maybe perhaps suggest, like, could I write a 3-part, you know, blog series, guest blog for your audience that addresses these things that you had talked about, but I can go in further. And the fact that if they are willing to take on guest bloggers, and you've already made a nice introduction to yourself, they might be like obliged to like, sure, let's do it. And what happens in the process of you creating these valuable blogs, like your stuff you did on your Black Magic, you know, camera, or you know, reviews of how you use that, then the audience catches that, and then you inadvertently sort of promote Project Eugenics and send them to the link. You know what I mean? That's just basically content marketing. You have to provide content, valuable content, to whatever particular audience that blogger has, and then you always have some sort of call to action. And the call to action is like, if you want to know more about me or whatever it is, or if you can find more about the project here. So it's sort of a soft sell. You're throwing it out there, but that's one way to get into a bigger audience, to say, you know, come check this out. And this is one way to connect with bloggers too. It's just a 3 basic email structure. Let me see here. So let me stop there before we get too far down. See if you had any other follow-up questions. I don't know if you had any other follow-up questions about about your first question.
Yeah. No, I mean it makes sense. It's one of those things, and I think a lot of us have that sort of problem. Let's call it where you walk in a fine line between you know um, promoting your stuff, but yet at the same time just being really in your face and frankly annoying. You know what I mean?
Well,
And
that's your next question. So let's just get into that one then.
yeah, I didn't realize it was a good segue. All right, it
Yeah,
was
it's a good
planned. I
segue.
planned that.
So this is good. So here you can see that. So your next question was, okay, what's the best way to promote your campaign on social media, newsletter, etc., without driving people nuts? Well, the first thing is you don't shout, and you ask instead. And that's basically you don't push, you pull. And it's push versus pull marketing. And oh, sorry. Oh, real quick, I can hear your echoing or me echoing in your thing. Go ahead and put
Oh,
yourself on mute, and then when you're ready to talk, just go unmute it. That's all.
sure, sure.
Or throw your earbuds in. So
Sorry,
anyway,
sorry.
so the difference between push marketing and pull marketing, the short of it is that when you're pushing something, Seth Godin talks about it as being like interruptive marketing, meaning that this is the stuff that television commercials, and sometimes you're on a website and these crazy banner ads are flying around in front of you. Anything that just interrupts your process of absorbing and taking in the content, the media. So the difference is as Seth Godin talks about, is like permission marketing, or it's called pull marketing. Like you are pulling the information from your potential customers and audience. So you're not shouting at them anymore, you're asking. So again, don't shout, ask. And so here's just a simple, I don't know, trying to make this like practical for anybody to use. Try asking a question in all your promotional materials. And so what does that mean? Is when you feel uncomfortable about your marketing, where you feel like you're annoying everybody, is because you might inadvertently be feeling like you're pushing, and you might be inadvertently feeling like you're shouting out your message, as opposed to trying to start a dialogue, a conversation, by asking and pulling information. So let's, this is a joke, it's not all about the base, it's all about the headlines. You mean, that famous song. So it's not about the base, it's about the headlines. So here's some practical things you might be able to use. So here's some sample headlines that I try to just tie into like what I can gather what the concept is for Project Eugenics. So you can start off with a blog post or an article or something that says 10 fun facts about surviving the zombie apocalypse. Wait, I can't say apocalypse. So 10 fun facts about surviving the zombie apocalypse. So right there, you're not promoting. Nowhere does it say that you're shouting out, donate to my campaign. Nowhere in this headline does it say, I need your help, give me money. But what this does, it invites the right audience to be like, I love the zombie apocalypse, or whatever it is. What are the fun facts? So it's just a simple blog post, but you have to craft it, creatively in a way. At the end, there's a call to action saying, and I'm making a film, come check it out. Here's a trailer, or whatever it is. These are what we in the blogger industry called clickbait, basically. Here's another headline. 14 reasons why everyone gets it wrong about deadly viruses. It's like, so you just have to do your homework. Like, well, what 14 reasons can I get? And you tie it in again. Like, nowhere here are you asking anybody to donate or go. You won't feel uncomfortable about constantly promoting this same headline. You know what I mean? Because what it is, you're generating conversation. You're providing content value to the people that are interested in about zombies and deadly viruses or whatever it might be. Why a zombie apocalypse is a good thing for you, So it's just a tongue-in-cheek thing. But like, well, what you can already see these headlines. Like, well, I would love to click on these right now. I don't have anything written here. I'm just saying that these are things that make people want to click and read. Stunning photos reminding us why we love zombies. So you can just grab photos from famous movies or real-life, horrific scenarios or things that make people love zombies using photos. 12 secrets to survive the zombie apocalypse that no one is telling you. Those are always a good headline. Like, what are you talking about? No one's telling you. Well, you still have to fulfill the promise of this headline and create content that people read through and like, oh, that's cool. It's like really quick, 12-point bullet points, and at the end, if you can organically tie in your project, like, and I'm making a zombie apocalypse movie or whatever it might be. Here's my crowdfunding campaign, and love your help.
Mm-hmm.
So. Here's another headline you can use: 15 creepy photos that will make you believe in the zombie apocalypse. So right there, once you start developing this dialogue, you're asking, or you do your best to try to put questions in your headlines, in your marketing and promotional material. You're providing a little bit of content, but at the same time, you won't feel guilty, and you're actually excited about throwing these articles out there for people, because you know they're valuable. People are going to get value out of it, or get a good, fun laugh, or a quick scroll through photos and stuff like that. So as filmmakers, it's just as creative now, because now, if you wrote a script, that was creative. Now writing creative headlines and writing just really simple blog posts, or creating content that does have value, that serves the promise of the headline. But you just have to figure out a way to organically put your campaign or call to action in at the end, or in between. Does it have to be at the end? Maybe it's right in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
So you can try that out. So with all that said, we can go on to the next question real quick. With all that, it kind of ties in together. Your next question was, well, what are good perks to offer? So let's take a look at the perks that you have real quick over
Mm-hmm.
at your project. Let me go over here real quick. Switch over to the, whoops, that's my big head. Hold on. Here we go. So let's take a look at your perks you have to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've got the standard $5, thank you, and I mentioned on your blog, filmmakingtoday.com, a $10 perk of the digital copy of the script,
Mm-hmm.
and $25 a digital copy of the film, $50 DVD plus a digital download, and $75 you get a T-shirt, download, and script, like all the above, and then $100 is tickets to the world premiere, $200 name in the credits. So you got your standard sort of perks.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's go back to the drawing board on that and saying, like, let's think about the audience for any crowdfunding campaign. Let me go back here real quick. All right, so we see this slideshow. So what are good perks? Well, again, let's take inventory of your strengths, or whatever your unfair advantage is. So you always, really want to dig deep and, like, what great things can I offer that I don't have money for, but what I can offer as value exchange. Sample perks. $1 is basically somebody going, oh, what the hell, $1, Or if you want to do $10, like, you're going to get a digital copy of the film, $10.
Mm-hmm.
$20, you're going to get a digital copy of the movie, and I wrote a ebook on the best zombie movies. So basically, it's like maybe a glorified blog post, but you've done the job and value of curating a simple sort of list of zombie movies, because now you're in alignment, meaning that the book isn't something random. It actually speaks to the world and the subject that you've created for Project Eugenics. So here's something, because now I'm an audience member. I'm going, oh, $20. Okay, yeah, I get a copy of the movie, but hey, I could use a little ebook about the best zombie movies ever made, or whatever it might be. Yeah, $20, cool. And then maybe just jump to $100. You can say, look, you can get a digital copy of the film, you're going to get the ebook, and then you can get a bunch of making videos to help you make your own zombie film. Instead of, like, you get behind the scenes making of videos, it's like, okay, who cares? But if you just change your making of videos to be more specific, of like, they're designed to help you make your zombie film. So now, again, if you look at all this stuff, it starts becoming more about the audience. Like, you trying to give them value anyway. The whole point is, like, you're going to make making of videos anyway. You're doing it anyway for your blog. You might as well craft it so that it's real specific to helping somebody else make their own zombie movie. So $100 is like, okay, cool. That totally makes sense. And you can position it in such a way, like, look, you spend $250 on a weekend to learn how to make a movie. Where $100 you get the ebook, you get the digital copy, plus you get all these video modules to help you make your own zombie film. Then just jump to $1,000. Like, and one of the assets that you have is like, I will edit your video of blank, of your babies, of your children, of your whatever it might be. But the whole point is, as maybe a freelancer, you would take $1,000 editing job, but you just have to know what you would be willing to edit. Or go bigger, say $5,000. I will shoot and edit your video of blank. So now you're offering value that somebody can go, you know what, that's cool. I pay somebody to do that. It's these last two you might have to craft a little bit so you can know what time you can commit and what the restrictions are and when to deliver, and how many perks you give away. Like you said, you're only trying to shoot for $5,000, but if somebody says, I'll give you the whole $5,000 if you will shoot and edit this video of this, and then and then you can advertise that out, and boom, you've already got your crowdfunding done by one person, or one client. So the difference here, if you look at this list of suggested sample perks, it could fit into any movie or any other filmmaker's efforts, because what you're trying to do is apply your talents and your unfair advantage and your take stock in your inventory of what value you have, and then offer them up as price points. And the reality is, $1,000, $5,000, somebody who can shoot and edit video for a corporation or a corporate video will charge, $10,000, $25,000. So why not just throw it into your crowdfunding campaign? You know what I mean? But if you can change the marketing a little bit so that whoever sees it gets value out of it, something to think about. So those are things I say. Again, we move to your last question, which is, in general, what are good ways to draw attention to one's campaign, offline and online? And I am not the campaign, crowdfunding expert, but curating the information. We can just start with the basics, which is you can go to this link here at seedandspark.com, which they have an entire series about how to succeed with your campaign utilizing Seed and Spark. Indiegogo, which is the platform that you're on, they have a whole thing called the playbook. And they'll take filmmakers through, content creators through the process to give them the best fighting chance to succeed at making their crowdfunding goals. Kickstarter has the handbook, so you can start with the three major players and just see what they have to say. Because they want you to. All these platforms have the same incentive. They need you to be successful, because when you're successful, they get paid. The more money you can raise, the more money they make. So it's in their best interest to make sure you succeed. So you might as well start with what they say. There's tons of other blogs out there telling you how to do this, and that, but might as well just start with the platforms themselves, because they have the most to gain from it. Because without the number of people investing or using their platforms, they're not going to make money. So they need to make money off the backs of independent filmmakers. And so this is why they're going to put time and investment and try to help people be successful. So with that said, promoting your campaign, offline or online, they always, again, the basics are you start with your network, and the network is really your friends and family. So it's a small group of people. But the difference is, does your promotional materials and perks offer something that is shareable? So if you look and say, is your script, shareable? Does somebody really want to read the script? Or is an ebook of the best zombie films? If you curate something like, here's the top 25 zombie films worth checking out now, or something like that, that has maybe shareable value. So you're always looking for your promotional materials to offer value to your audience, but also, can you make it shareable? Something that just is like a call to action at the end of whatever material you give them, to say, and share this with your network or friends, or because and understanding why they want to share it. Maybe it's a really funny viral, video, or a really funny photo, or a funny meme, photo with some title tag. So it might be like a zombie face with eat more brain, or got brain. I don't know. So you can just make stuff up. That you're trying to create these promotional materials that are shareable. And then is all your promotional material about your audience? Meaning, like, how does it make them feel? So when you're creating something, putting them in your focus and in your forefront is like thought is like, well, if I create this and somebody grabs it and shares it with their network of people, how will it reflect on them? Will it make them look cool because they are posting or resharing a really funny video or real thought-provoking video or a really cool image? You know, things like that. So it's always good to start with those questions because that'll help design your promotional materials moving forward. And your promotional materials, you will not feel like you are shouting at anybody. You know that you're working hard to create these wonderful shareable bits of content that you're going to be excited to promote and excited to share and try to get it out to as many people as possible. So the whole point is like you start with friends and family and you're trying to get them to share stuff of what you're doing, and then that grows into their network, and that's how you grow it from organically from nothing. And then what else I have? Oh, and then here's a big thing. Well, how do you celebrate those who contribute? So if anybody, if you 10 people, 12 people, 15 people show up, give you money, and say, yeah, let's rock this. How do you make them feel like they are rock stars? Because you make them feel great. Again, this is acknowledgement. This is the basic human needs and wants. We can go back to that slide real quick, but you almost have to double down on those who give you something, because then it's like you can't just be like, oh, hey, thanks a lot, cool, man, and then but as opposed to like, you are a rock star, I'm going to give you more value, because if the more you give to these people that actually contributed to your campaign, the more likelihood they're going to share with their network, or as long as you can try to create material that is shareable. So that's sort of the most organic way where you don't feel like a total douchebag of like pushing or being annoying to people. It's like because you believe in what you're creating and you believe in the material that you promotional material that you have, that it's going to be worth something and it's going to be fun. And those who do join in and want to contribute money to you, you're like, that's it. They are value. They are rock stars. You have to put them on the pedestal, and you have to double down on them and give them more stuff. It's basically releasing your ego as the artist and filmmaker and putting all of your audience on their own separate pedestals, and then promoting and celebrating them. And that's how organically you should be able to promote your campaign and feel good about it and not feel like a douche about it, So what do I got here? Okay, so Project Eugenics, here's your Indiegogo campaign URL that people can jump on so that they can jump on it later. But yeah, so kind of rambled on a bit there, but that's from everything I read and what I can if I could speak English, decipher what I can decipher, I can help out from your specific questions. That's what I was able to ascertain and bring to the table for you to be like, okay, is there anything you could do in the next 16 days to help the cause? Maybe the first thing to do, here's the cool thing about it, the Indiegogo. You can go let the 16 days go, and then you could you can relaunch the campaign. You can just rebrand it. I mean, businesses do this all the time. We're like, oh crap, that marketing campaign didn't work, so let's relaunch something. I
didn't know you could do that. Actually, that's cool.
Well, you say, okay, because like Kickstarter is like all or nothing, right?
Yeah.
So, but Indiegogo, you can set it up as both. I can do all or nothing, or I can take whatever funds I get and go forward. But you can say like, okay, so the whole point is like, you can thank those people, because you're going to have an email list of the people that contributed to your campaign, and then you make them feel like rock stars, like, hey, we didn't make our goal or whatever it might be, but I learned a lot in the process, and check out the relaunch of the next goal. I'm going to say like, look, I'm not asking you. You've already done great. Your contributions will be used or whatever it is, but love to hear your feedback of like what didn't work for you or what did work for you in terms of the campaign. And here's some new ideas that we're going to look to relaunch it. Because the thing is like, so if it doesn't work on this campaign, like say Indiegogo says, no, you did this once. I don't know what the rules are. who's to say you can't go to Kickstarter? Who says you can't go to, Seed and Spark with the
Yeah.
part two? There's really no, I think, rules for somebody who wants to be persistent and have the grit to muscle it through, because you're going to experiment. Like, well, okay, I didn't make my goal that time, or 100%. What can I do with all these things I just learned to go forward and give it another crack? I don't know if you know about the story of the coolest cooler. Like Kickstarter's like one of the most famous crowdfunding successes ever.
I don't think so. What's the story?
Okay, so the story goes, this inventor, all he did was to take this cooler, and he added like a blender to it, and like an iPhone jack for speakers and wheels and things like that, to make the experience of having a cooler the entertainment hub of wherever you go during your recreation or your leisure time. And he called it the coolest cooler. He didn't make his on Kickstarter. He did not make his goal the first time around. So what he did, he launched it in November at the time, and he made some slight changes to the design of this coolest cooler, and he had a better, he shot a little bit of a different thumbnail for his video, and then he had a little bit of a different video, and he launches it around June. The thing, he lowered his goal. So originally, I think he wanted like 100,000. Then his second time out, he says, okay, I'll go for 50,000. Well, the thing takes off, and it makes like 13 million. He raises $13 million. $13 million. And here's the thing about it. Like, I think he raised maybe like 40,000, 50,000, like the first go. Is changing the thumbnail of your video, is changing the editing slightly and the marketing message of your video slightly different, is it really worth $13 million more? That's what's so crazy. And there's like all these blogs about this coolest cooler. You can just look it up on Kickstarter, about analyzing what really happened. Like, how is this possible? How is the slight changes, is it really worth that much more money? And it's hard to say. It could be just an outlier, like just an anomaly. But it is something to be said that the guy's very persistent. He had grit to see it all the way through. So your story could be like, all right, we did this project for Project Eugenics, and the crowdfunding, maybe I only got close to my goal, and then we went back, retooled our marketing message, created all these other marketing promotional materials, and then hit maybe use a different crowdfunding campaign platform, and then all of a sudden we not only met our goal, but we quadrupled our overall money intake. So that, if you can do something like that the second time around, then that becomes worthy. That becomes newsworthy. That becomes value to a blogger. That becomes value to the platform that you were successful on. That becomes, you know what I mean? Like all these things, this story becomes valuable and brings more attention to your particular project. I put up on like the Google Plus communities and stuff like that a case study that I kind of just broke down of this campy like 80s sci-fi action film that's coming out, and I don't remember quite the name of it. I think people have seen it before. But it's I think it's one of the best examples I've ever seen of like how to properly do a crowdfunding campaign and just generate such tremendous interest and fan interest into a project that hasn't even been made yet. I mean, there's fans out of nowhere like developing the raddest like fan art posters for this film. So I'll have to put it up in the show notes.
Is it by any chance something Kung Fu? I can't remember the title, but I've seen one.
You know what I'll do? I'll figure out right now. I'm gonna look it up right now, and
it's like an 80s like an 80s video game type.
Yeah, kind of. It's
where the guy is battling Hitler. Is that by any chance it?
Oh man, that might be it. Hold on here.
Because when I saw it, it piqued my interest.
Yeah, I mean, it's just and so it's when you have a project like that essentially transcends your own network. That breaks the barrier of getting other people really, really interested in what you have to offer. And that's great. So because most people in the crowdfunding success stories, they only really hit on their own network, their friends and family, and just a few people on the outside. Very rarely do they ever, break the bank, which they just go completely viral and hit other, audiences outside of their own network. So let me see here. I got it here.
Hmm.
Where is that thing? Oh yeah, Kung Fury.
Yeah, that's the one. That's so funny. I
So
saw that one a couple of weeks ago, I guess, or so. Yeah.
yeah, so we'll put that up there. Kung Fury. It's an amazing. I think they're on Kickstarter, but it's amazing just watching what they had done, and
Hmm.
they did everything right. And I'm excited to see what happens in the film.
Hmm.
Just that's so much rally, and that to me that is as independent as you can get. Like there's no stars or anything. It's just a bunch of a good group of filmmakers that just made
Yeah.
a really great trailer to make you go, okay, I'm in. I'm
Hmm.
interested in. You're doing a Kickstarter campaign, and then there's this huge Facebook community, and watching just the engagement they have. It's just, you know, very well, very, very well done.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I think this is what I noticed. I think people my generation, well, I don't know how old you are, but I think we're somewhere there.
I'm old.
Okay. You're experienced. uh, but I think people definitely late 20s, early 30s, somewhere there. There's this fascination with the 80s. And I know the older generation goes, why the hell the 80s? But hey, it is what it is.
I'm a child
So
of the '80s, yeah, but yeah,
yeah, exactly. I mean, I was born in the 80s, but obviously I'm more a
yeah.
child of the 90s. But I do have that fascination with 80s music, video games, 80s, that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. So, and I'm pretty sure the guys that made the movie, from what I've seen, I think they are part of that generation as well. So, I think it was a great move to choose that, and because you have an audience there. I mean, like I said, when I saw it, I was like, I'm gonna watch this whenever it comes out, because there's a certain nostalgic, feeling that you just get from it. So, which goes back to pretty much all the things you've talked about, knowing your audience and just going with it, and obviously it worked. So
Yeah,
go
and it's just hitting it's hitting that primal or curiosity and simply just hitting a pleasure point or a guilty pleasure point or whatever it might be. It's not a pain point. It's like
Yeah.
it's intriguing and it was well done. It is what it was. It was very clear what it wanted to do, like what the film's message was, what they
Hmm.
wanted to do with the film, and you could tell there's fun behind it. There's passion behind it, and that's what drives a lot of these campaigns. Is anybody who's like, I am really clear what I'm making. I'm really clear in the passion about what this is, and obviously I'm going to make it without your help or not, basically. But if you want to along for the ride, I would love to share this with you. That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, you know, I'm working on my next film, but I'm working with a producer who's reached out to me that we just needed some
Anything you can
blogosphere.
share?
Yeah,
We'd
yeah. I
love to
mean,
hear about it.
okay. So the thing is what I'm learning from my mistakes from the cube, which is this is for me. It was just a creative like outlet. Like I did it, yay, done. But
Mhm.
now trying to apply all these things going forward, my own personal feelings about crowdfunding for me personally is like unless I know I've already built a very strong network, like I've already provided value, and I've already been a good community member in a very specific audience. Um, you know, like Jason Brubaker says, you don't want to really advertise to other filmmakers because it's too broad.
Yeah.
Unless you want to say, I want to advertise to filmmakers that love, zombie films or whatever it is. But there's people that don't make films that are, love zombie films or something like that, or those who maybe aspire to one day make their own zombie film because it looks fun. If you can tap into that very niche market or very niche group of people, then your marketing message is very clear and it's in alignment. But if you've done, say, a year of that, or like for me personally, like my next film is, I don't think I'm not much of a horror guy, but I do love like scary movies that deal with like the paranormal, questions, about the afterlife, about the spirit
Mm.
world, and all that kind of stuff. And so I was like, okay, so my job is to curate or at least be a good community member within those groups of people, and then figure out who the influencers are and stuff like that. And I'm at the sort of research and aggregation stage of just listening and watching what people post and commenting on, oh, that's a really creepy picture, or there's a lot of authors out there. The horror genre on independent Amazon authors is amazing. A lot of people just putting out a bunch of Kindle books. And so when they have a headline or talking about something to do, I try to just say, wow, that's really great. Thanks for the share. I haven't done anything. I haven't told anything that I'm a filmmaker or what I'm doing. It's just simply I'm trying to be part of these communities so that I'm somewhat recognizable as somebody being a good citizen amongst these communities.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'm trying to decipher like what makes them tick, and then I'm in this mindset of like I want to serve them. I want to make something for them, and it's not about me anymore. It's like I'm confident in my abilities to be creative and make something, but now like how can I let all that go and feel like somebody just hired me, and I don't want to let these people down. So I'm putting this make-believe parameters in place. Like imagine this group of people has hired me to make a film for them. So like now I feel obligated. I don't want to, my own reputation or whatever it might be is like I don't want to let them down. So that puts me in a much better place creatively. So now I'm trying to then I think to myself like unless I had built like a platform or I'm providing like a great blog and I have a tons of topics that I'm offering up to them, I don't have any of that stuff. So I don't feel comfortable, me personally, going forth with a crowdfunding campaign just because everybody else is doing it. It's kind of like where everybody is zigging, I want to zag. And so what I've done instead is I like this concept of the entrepreneurs, which is building a product and using whatever bits of profits from that to use as my crowdfunding. So I'm finishing up my book right now, and this was really an experiment to see like if you write a book for the Amazon platform and you go through the process of promoting this digital product, could the same techniques and strategies be used if you want to sell your film, which is a digital product, on a marketplace or platform like Amazon or iTunes? So I had to come up with a book first. It was like, hey, let me test this theory out of like how everybody else seems to be able to market and sell books on Amazon. So let me write my own book and then sell it and see what works and what doesn't work and how that could be applied to a film product. Well, that went down a rabbit hole because I realized I needed to create something of value, which is, I can just write a book just for the hell of it. It led me down a deep, dark rabbit hole path that I was like, oh, crap. So this thing turned out to be much bigger than I expected, but I'm excited about it. And so, I'm going to be launching it soon. It was supposed to be in March, and March is coming to a close, and it'll be ready for April. But what it is like the portions of the profits or sales that I make on this particular book, I will use for the film. And so this is my version of a crowdfunding, because I look at it like I build a product, I'm going to see what sales I can make, and then those sales, I'll take a percentage or portion of it and go to the next project. And then it's just, I feel more comfortable that way. I feel like, I built something that I'm trying to provide value to a specific group of people, which is the uber independent filmmakers. I'm not asking them to like, hey guys, all you uber independent filmmakers, would you please contribute to my crowdfunding campaign on a film that you may not really care about. What you really may care about is sort of this other concept, which is the name of the book, which is how to make and sell your film online and survive the Hollywood implosion while doing it. And then I can show you real quick what that looks like. But let's see here. So that's just my own personal preference, and I like the fact that there's no rules. I don't have to do a crowdfunding thing just because it seems like everybody else is, but that's just, again, me personally. So this is like based off the quote from Steven Spielberg. He says there's going to be an implosion, and that's going to change the paradigm. So I'm like, okay, well, hell, if there's going to be an implosion, well, how do you survive that implosion? And really what's the big question is, well, how does anybody make and sell anything online, especially your film product?
Yeah.
And so this little simple landing page that says, I'm created this survival guide to help the uber independent filmmaker do just that. And here it is. You can click right now to get 50% off when it comes out next month. So, and really the big thing about this particular book is I want to provide value to the uber independent filmmaker by saying, like, what about us? What if we made a film and we sold directly online? What are all these marketing tips and things that I've learned, but really about the salesmanship, and what is the bigger picture? And this book really goes into like the bigger picture of anybody trying to make any sort of wealth online, selling any type of product. So, I don't know how it's going to respond. The small book launch group that I have, I've gotten a lot of good responses, and that's helped me keep going. But until I launch it out there, it could be a total flop, and I might not make any money whatsoever out of it. But
Well, but
like
you know
you
what?
said, you're trying.
Hey, first of all, you got one guy right here, so don't worry. I'm just waiting to click that button. No worries there. But that's the beauty about all this what we do. I mean, same thing when I launched this Indiegogo campaign. I mean, or anything we do, anything could go either way. But that's the beauty. We can try. We can filter out what works for us. I mean, I have, and I'm sure people too, fellow filmmaker friends who are still doing the old-fashioned way, right? Which there's nothing wrong with it, but it's 10 times more difficult to do it. You could potentially spend years of your life trying to get the funding, trying to get in the old system, trying to get the producers on board and all that stuff. And I know people who are still. I mean, I'm on my second film, and I have buddies who are still trying to launch their first. Now, am I doing it right? I'm not saying I am, but the fact that I have that option where I can say, listen, I respect the traditional way and all that, that's all fine and dandy, but honestly, it's not working for me, and I'm just a guy who, I love to, just jump into it. I love to do all kinds of aspects of filmmaking. I mean, and I truly enjoy it. I mean, I was talking to an actor. I was at the Vancouver Web Fest. I'm one of the organizing members, and
That's
yeah, and by the way, it's really great. You should check it out.
Definitely.
Yes, and it was really cool. And I was talking to one of the actors, and I was telling him about where I am with the movie and all that. And I told him, yeah, I'm now in the editing process and post production, and I'm having a great time. And his literal words were, I have never heard anyone say they're having a great time in the post-production process, and it's that's just how I approach it. I realized actually a while ago, even though I love shooting a film, and you get, I'm sure you feel the same. You get so much pleasure out of, when you're there, and the atmosphere is right and everything. However, I get actually way more pleasure when I'm just literally in this room on this computer, with my coffee, and this is my mug of choice, just so you know.
Oh.
By the way, I love Spock, and it's a true loss to all of us. So it's sad.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So this is my world, and I love it. And the fact that I can just jump into it and do it, and it's just a great thing that has happened to this industry in general, and yeah, we don't have a lot of, we need to figure out a lot of things, and some we will sooner than later, but that's the beauty about exploring.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
yeah, go
interesting
ahead.
because I was going to say that it's interesting because as mentioned in the beginning of all these Film Marketing Fridays, is like production is no longer a barrier and distribution is no longer a barrier. So marketing is the last barrier for filmmakers. But you can imagine there is this new world of independent artists, be it an author, musician, a painter, and now a filmmaker. Because if filmmakers like you and I can make a film, this one for $500 without a crew, and you can make your films for like $500 and $3,000 or whatever. These really
Yeah.
really micro-budget films really on our backs, then the barrier has been broken, and so now we're just going, okay, well, how do you make a living? How do you sell it? And so eventually, collectively together, we're going to start seeing models, different business models develop over the years that now a filmmaker can have the options. Do I think Hollywood is going to implode? I think it may if the water shortage is true, because there may not be any LA, but that's a whole other thing that I didn't even think about when I wrote the book. But at the same time,
as long as they don't
gives.
get Sharknadoes, they'll be fine, man.
I gotta, yeah, it'd be like Tremors, a bunch of dusty worms coming out. But I think what happens is that I'm excited to see there's going to be options, and that's the goal of Film Marketing Fridays. That's the goal of Film Trooper. It's the goal of us having these discussions and these conversations, of having a platform to bring up these things to share, is that the models will start fleshing themselves out, which is like, oh, cool, so I know that I can make my little films in my own little town with my friends and stuff like that, and there is a process and a model that you can turn a profit, online by selling these small films or whatever it is to a online marketplace. But if I want to level up, like if I still want to get into the sub-industry of Hollywood indie, independent films, then I know there's a trajectory for that. Then I know if I want to be part of the elite Hollywood machine where I get to work on the next Marvel or DC films or whatever it might be, there is a trajectory for that. So it's exciting because now, prior to all this stuff, there used to just be like really one way. Like there's the independent film scene that's never quite independent. Like it's Lloyd Kaufman from Troma, is probably the most successful, longest-running independent film studio company ever. But he's quick to say, like, what is fed to us in the press and the blogosphere, what is considered independent films, are not quite independent at all, because they're still dependent on some form of studio assistance to distribute and advertise and promote their media to the marketplace. The true independence is like when you don't have any of that stuff, but yet you're making an impact on a small group of people. When I say small, it could be 1,000, 10,000 people, and you're selling it at a certain price point that allows you to make a living, to make a profit, to then make enough to go back to the drawing board and make the next product. So that's what I'm excited about, I'm encouraged by, and I hope that anyone who sticks around for these things gets value out of. I'm just passionate about the last barrier, trying to kind of like crack that nut of like, well, what are some simplistic ways that we can enjoy the marketing process? And I think that's just it too. We're running solo here. It's not like you have a team of anybody. So how do you make the process of creating your promotional materials enjoyable, just as it was enjoyable making your film? So that's why hopefully you got some value out of it in the bullet points. Is like, you create that content, you're going to have fun creating that content, and you're going to have even more fun sharing that content. And it's your film is only one part of it.
Absolutely. So. Absolutely. And I think anyone who's passionate about anything, and doesn't even have to be an artistically inclined individual. I think when you're doing something that you truly love, it doesn't matter. The days and the hours you spend on it, they just fly by, right? It's just you feel like you're just part of this great machine that just keeps going, right? And a lot of times you're just like, wow, I just did that. Well, like I know, I'm sure you feel the same. I know I'm sometimes, well, a lot of times in here until 5, 6 a.m. sometimes. But because I'm just in this world, it doesn't feel like it. And I think marketing should be part of that as well. And you're right, absolutely. Making a movie is really no longer a problem. It's the technology is there, everything is there. So there's really no excuse to make the movie. Marketing and distribution, I think we're getting there where it's becoming almost like a conversation, you know.
Mhm.
And it's a two-way conversation. It's not just me, like you said, absolutely yelling at you. Check this out! Check this out! It's great, man! It's great! It's great! Watch it, right? And I think it's getting there, and it's great. I mean, I spend hours and hours online watching these types of videos, you know, and subconsciously they're selling me their product, but really I'm just having fun, enjoying being part of the conversation, right? So, and that's great. That's something that is getting better and better every day, and it's great
Yeah.
to be part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's like it's breaking down that barrier, that myth that marketing has to be laborious and painful, or somebody else has to do it. It is actually quite creative, and it's actually quite invigorating, because as long
Mhm.
as you put yourself in that, again, the position of, I will be a servant to a group, this audience, this group of fans, because I will let my ego go,
Mhm.
and it's not like because you're not selling out. I remember there was a conversation on Twitter. Emily Bess and I were talking to this filmmaker, and she was asking a question like, if you serve an audience, then you're not quite making the film you want. And she's like, is that correct? And he goes, no, it's actually, Emily was saying, like, no, it's the collaboration. Because if
Mhm.
you just are like stubborn-headed and like, okay, I'm going to make the film I want. Everybody get out of my way, make my film, my film. What happens is that when it comes time to present it to the audience, then um, then again you're shouting, you're pushing your stuff out to them, as opposed to what Emily was explaining is like the collaboration part of it. Because if you put yourself to you're still making your film, but the difference is you're making your film with this audience in mind, because you are beholden to them, meaning that
Mhm.
you want to do them right. You respect them. When you respect the audience and respect their opinions and get a rush of what their feedback is, it doesn't have to be everybody. It just has to be the group of people that you care about and that you value more, that you respect more than maybe another group of people that don't quite get what you're trying to do. But there might be just a small enough group of people that really dig what you're doing, and those are the people you double down on again, and those are the people that you're going to have a much more fulfilling life from. Because I was thinking, even if you go down like the the studio route, even if you're a contract for hire and you make a bunch of like schlock films, and you're doing it, you're making films in Hollywood, there's still going to be that burning desire inside where you're like, I just want to make something for myself. And it's really not that. Really, what it is like you want to make something where an audience is just a large enough audience. It doesn't have to be huge, just small enough and large enough for you, that says they respond to your material, and then they give you feedback, and then that discussion and something that you can nurture and grow together. And that's a wonderful thing about the blogging world, if it's done right, is I enjoy these. We never met in person. I have so many
Yeah.
wonderful people I met online because of starting Film Trooper, and probably the same thing with starting filmmaking today.
Yep.
That it's awesome, and we're like, I feel like I'm small fry, but I can see the steps that you need to take to get go bigger and bigger. But that's really not my focus anymore, because the reality is I had this conversation with another blogger who I said, you know what, there's a handful of people that I talk to on a regular basis, and the reality is those are real people. They're
Yep.
not like some weird numbers. They're not Twitter numbers, followers. They're not Facebook likes. They're real people that have real questions, and I'm having real dialogue with them from a platform I created out of scratch. And so I was thinking, like, that has value, and I'm going to
Yep.
double down on those people that I'm having conversations with, and I'll let all the other stuff sort of play out in terms of blog growth or traffic growth. But for right now, those people who follow me, I really appreciate it, and I'm trying to give you the best value I can with these things. So we
Oh,
can
and
wrap it up. So
no, absolutely, absolutely. I'm just gonna just quickly add. I agree, absolutely. And as someone who follows you, dude, seriously, thank you. I can't believe the the content, the amount of content that you put out in every episode. I mean, it's truly it's amazing. I mean, believe me, read your stuff. Lately, just I've been consumed with my movie, but
Yeah, yeah.
whenever I get a chance, absolutely, I read and watch the videos. And just a quick note on that subject. I just recently got a Facebook message or YouTube, wherever it was online, from these guys from the UK who've been watching my videos, and specifically about the black magic. Again,
Mm-hmm.
surprise, surprise. I'm becoming Mr. Black Magic here.
That's awesome, see?
No, and yeah, and it was really great. They actually decided to buy the two pocket cameras to shoot their feature. I think it's called The Retreat. So go check it out. I think Retreat movie, something like that.
Okay.
Based on my videos, right? And it was great. We had this awesome, just conversation back and forth. I was like, yeah, this is great. You should try this. It was technical stuff and all that. And but that's where that's where the value is for everyone. That's where I like to watch your stuff, and I'm pretty sure that's where the people that like to watch my stuff, they see that we have a passion and we do these things because we really care. I know it sounds
Mm-hmm.
corny and cheesy, but I just love doing this.
Yeah.
A lot of times I actually I go online on YouTube and I'm searching whatever camera is, whatever it is, and I can't find a video about it. And I was like, are you kidding me? There's no video about it. So I'm like, I'm gonna make a video because this is an awesome product and I think people will like it. And so I just make a video. So it's
Yeah.
awesome, man. Same here. Again, I want to thank you, dude, for all your services to the community.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I had a good time. This one was you gave me some hard questions to think about, like when you sent them. I was like, oh gosh, like how we're gonna really deliver this? But I really relish in the questions that come in. So as we wrap this up, if anybody's a filmmaker and you really enjoy these Film Marketing Fridays, and you want to be part of it, just contact me over at filmtrooper.com or just Twitter at filmtrooper, and I would love to have you guys on. Or if you want to promote your product, in a useful way. I have a lot of filmmakers talk about the film they're working on, so we get a chance to promote what they're working on. But then they also have these wonderful questions, and then collectively together, I definitely claim I'm not an expert. I'm just an enthusiast about all this stuff, and I do my best to curate the best possible answers for the community in terms of whatever questions are brought up, and we move forward. And then and I, as well as you're working on your stuff and I'm working on my stuff, you have to have something to apply to go, okay, even though they're telling all this stuff and I'm sharing all this stuff that they're telling us what to do, here's some real world stuff that I applied that worked and what didn't work, and or here's some stuff I totally screwed up on. I mean that stuff is valuable for I think the community to gather from. But with that said, we can wrap it up, and I usually do my quick housekeeping here, or my version of paying the bills. So if you're a filmmaker and you are literally stuck trying to make your film, then I invite you to head over to freegearguide.com, where you can get a free equipment list of everything I use to make a feature film for $500 with no crew. Again, that's a feature, not a short, for only $500. And guess what? Without a crew. So if I can do it, you can definitely do it. And before we sign out here, why don't you say any closing thoughts, Bojan?
Just first of all, that book is awesome. Go get it. I read it. Seriously, it's great info there. Just want to say thanks to everyone. Thanks to you, man, and everyone who's watching. And if you want to find out more about me, just go check out projecteugenics.com. Or just go filmmakingtoday.com, and if you have any questions, whatever suggestions about any videos, just shoot me an email. I try my best to respond to people as quick as possible. So, thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Well, thank you so much, and everybody, have a good Friday, and we'll see you next week. I forgot actually who I have on next week, but we're good. I'll be back. So, Film Trooper presents Film Marketing Fridays. We'll catch you later.